Hello students, my name is Gandharva Hemant Pednekar, Research Associate, School of Development Studies, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. I will be discussing about the module on natural or physical environment. In this module, we will learn about the spheres of the Earth system, especially focusing on the atmosphere, the lithosphere, the hydrosphere, the cryosphere and the biosphere. The natural or physical environment of the Earth consists of all the living and non-living beings on the Earth. The environment can thus broadly be divided into two parts: the abiotic environment or the non-living portion of the Earth and the biotic environment or the living part of the Earth. The great Earth system consists of different subsystems which include the weather, the climate system, the ocean and the water system, the land formation and erosive system, and the soil formation system, along with the system of the living organisms and plants that thrive on the surface of the earth. The living organisms must be able to deal with the physical and chemical processes which regulate the natural forces. In our everyday language, we recognize that our planet consists of a set of interacting shells or spheres, some of them extending over the entire globe, others covering it partially. The total Earth system is an open system. This means that there remains a continuous flow of energy with the amount of matter in and on the Earth pretty much fixed and constant. The matter and energy changes its physical form, but so far nothing leaves the Earth permanently. Very little new matter can be added to supplement what we use up in one form. The Earth system can be chiefly divided into 5 spheres: the atmosphere, the lithosphere, the hydrosphere, the cryosphere and the biosphere. All the spheres are the key Earth layers which are interrelated and continue influencing one another. These spheres are not separate and independent segments of our planet but form the main Earth system. They are linked together in any one place and over the Earth as a whole. The atmosphere. The atmosphere consists of the blanket of air that surrounds the Earth. It consists of a mixture of different gases like nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, etc. It extends from a few meters below the ground on land and reaches to about 60,000 km above the sea level. The atmosphere is most densely concentrated near the Earth's surface. This sphere is an important platform for the flow and redistribution of energy and matter. The flow of heat in this layer leads to weather and climatic change. Composition. It is a mixture of many gases of which nitrogen and oxygen make up the highest of its composition. Nitrogen takes up 78% of the gaseous cover, whereas oxygen accounts for 21% of the distribution. Both of these gases are essentially important for the survival of life on the earth. Oxygen is the gas that we all breathe in, which helps us to burn the calories that we intake. This gives us energy and keeps us active. Oxygen is essentially for not only respiration, whereas it aids in many other chemical processes. Combustion of fossil fuels to get energy for machineries is one of the most important processes that are impossible without oxygen in air. Atmospheric nitrogen is relatively inactive, but when bacteria converts it in its compound can be used by plants. Carbon dioxide is present around 0.04% in dry air, that is 400 parts per million, but this small proportion of this gas has a great climatic influence as well as proves essential for plants. In the process of photosynthesis, plants use carbon dioxide along with water and nutrients from the soil in the presence of sunlight to sustain it. It helps in tissue building and leads to the growth of the plants. Plants are the only living organism capable of producing their own food. Thus, the entire food system depends on them. Carbon dioxide is essential for greenhouse effect that regulates the temperature on the Earth's surface and permits life to flourish. The shortwave radiation from the sun penetrates through the atmosphere and warms up the Earth. But in return, Earth radiates back the absorbed radiation, but this time in form of longer radiation. The work of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide is to absorb this radiation and maintain the suitable temperature of the Earth. Without this absorption, the Earth's surface heat would escape into space and our planet would be frigid. Water vapor is another greenhouse gas which helps to regulate the temperature of the atmosphere. In deserts or colder regions, there is only a minute fraction of these in gaseous form, about 1%, while over warm oceans or moist tropical land areas, it may make up to 3 or 4%. Without water vapor, it will be impossible for cloud formation and rainfall. Another important constituent of the Earth's atmosphere is the ozone layer, which is generally found at a height of 15 to 50 kilometers above the Earth's surface. It has a very important work to absorb the harmful ultraviolet radiation that enters with the solar radiation and has deadly consequences like skin cancer. The remaining portion of the atmosphere constitutes of small quantities of the inert gases like sulfur dioxide, oxides of nitrogen, ammonia, methane, carbon monoxide, etc., along with solid particles. Both smoke and dust particles are common especially near an urban area. Salt crystals are found near coastal areas. The solid particles aid in the formation of clouds and raindrops. They are the reason we see the color of the sky as blue and the sunset and sunrise as orange to red. Layers of the atmosphere. The atmosphere is generally divided into 5 parts as the troposphere, the stratosphere, the mesosphere, the thermosphere and the exosphere. Altitude has a major influence on temperature. The bottom layer of the atmosphere is the troposphere. It has an average height of about 12 km, with the maximum over the equator being 16 km to the least above the poles being 8 km. It is where life survives and the layers in which all the weather processes including cloud formation, air circulation, etc. takes place. The temperature usually decreases with the height in this layer. It contains about 80% of the mass of the Earth's atmosphere. The upper break of this layer that separates it from the layer above it is the tropopause. The layer above the tropopause is the stratosphere, which extends up to 50 to 55 kilometers above the Earth's surface. Jet crafts generally fly through the lower layers of this layer. This layer experiences inversion of temperature, thus remains generally free from cloud formation, giving a clearer view for the pilots to fly. However, there is an occasional formation of polar stratospheric or nacreous clouds. The ozone layer lies here. Ozone gas is naturally produced by the action of ultraviolet rays on oxygen, fusing 3 atoms of the gas in a single molecule. The gas shields us from harmful ultraviolet rays. The ultraviolet radiation warms the stratosphere, which further leads to higher temperature in the upper layers. The stratopause demarcates its upper boundary. The next layer above is the mesosphere. It extends between 50 km to the mesopause between 80 to 85 km above the Earth's surface. Temperature again starts decreasing with altitude in this layer. This is the highest level of cloud formation in the atmosphere. Another phenomena occurring in this layer is that of ionization. Solar radiation entering the atmosphere breaks up molecules of gases to electrically ionized particles called ions, which help to reflect radio waves in communication technology. The thermosphere, about 80 kilometers above the Earth's surface, extends till the thermopause at an altitude of 500 to 1000 kilometers. The lower part of this layer contains charged up ions, and this part and that of the mesosphere together form the ionosphere. Ionized particles and refracted light create wonderful displays of light called the aurora borealis in the northern hemisphere and the aurora australis in the southern hemisphere. The temperature in this layer gradually increases to about 900 degrees Celsius at about 350 kilometers. The air is extremely less dense in this layer. The topmost layer of the atmosphere is the exosphere, which extends above the thermosphere to the solar winds. Extremely low density of hydrogen, helium and other are found in this layer closer to the base. The satellites orbiting the Earth are located in this layer of atmosphere. The lithosphere. The term lithos has a Latin origin and it means rock. Thus, the outermost shell of the solid Earth is called the lithosphere. It consists of the outer crust and the upper mantle of the solid Earth. It is covered by endless varieties of landform and even extends below the ocean and the seas. The Earth's landmass covers only 29% of the surface. It is subdivided into tectonic plates that are in constant motion, though moving at a very slow pace on the asthenosphere below it. The thin uppermost part of the lithosphere has a soil layer called pedosphere, which is constantly being affected by the other spheres. The lithosphere can be divided accordingly as the oceanic lithosphere, or the part below the ocean basin and made of basalt and gabbro, that is 50 to 100 kilometers thick; the continental lithosphere, which is associated with the continental crust, which is made of granite and gneiss, that is 40 to maximum 200 kilometers thick. The tectonic plates move in relative to each other. When two plates collide, it is often accompanied by earthquakes, creating subduction zones where either of the plates sink below each other. There are mid-organic ridges formed as these zones. If two move away from each other, often there is the formation of trench. The lithosphere is quite old. There is constantly new formation of the landmass in different parts of the earth each day. The livable world where permanent settlement becomes possible is called Ecumene. There are 7 continents: Africa, Asia, Europe, South America, North America, Australia and Antarctica. The continents are further divided into countries which have states, districts, towns and villages as their subdivision. These are basically administrative units. Asia is the world's largest continent, whereas Australia remains the smallest. Antarctica remains the frozen continent. Most part of this continent remain uninhabited due to the extremely low temperature. The layer of the soil covering the outer surface of the lithosphere comprises of different textures, from alluvial to loamy, from sands to pebbles and many more. The texture of the soil determines its porosity and composition. Soils rich in minerals are good for agriculture and cultivation of crops. The texture of the soil determines its porosity and composition. Soils rich in minerals are good for agriculture and cultivation of crops. The soil layer contains organic matter decomposed by microorganisms, which turn themselves into humus, which supplies rich nutrients for plants. The plants in turn bind the soil with their roots, which in turn prevents it from washing away. The land masses in contact with the moving air, water and organic forms, or under the influence of gravity, are continuously being affected by the weathering force of these agents. The huge structures are slowly broken down into less complex structures, which in turn are transformed further into finer particles that result into soil formation. The particles are transferred from one place to another by the erosive force of the same natural forces. The hydrosphere. This sphere of the Earth's system constitutes of all the water bodies on the Earth's surface. They constitute about 71% of the total Earth's surface. This consists of all the water that is present as in the liquid form in the lakes, rivers, seas and oceans. The water in the gaseous form as in the atmosphere and the lithosphere as the groundwater. Water is the basic necessity for living beings to survive on this planet, and the Earth is still considered to be the only planet having this provision. Water gets evaporated from the rivers, lakes, seas and oceans into the atmosphere. The water vapor rises higher up in the atmosphere. Due to the decrease in temperature, the vapor condenses and forms ice crystals or raindrops, leading to formation of clouds. With the increase in humidity, the cloud precipitates as snowfall or rainfall. Thus, the hydrological cycle initiates with evaporation, leading to condensation and finally precipitation. The water, after being given back to the soil, flows away by runoff or is absorbed by the soil depending on its porosity and fills the underground reservoirs and groundwater level by the process of infiltration. Other than being vast reservoirs of water, the seas and the oceans play a crucial role in the temperature regulation and influence the climate of a region. The seas are storehouse of solutes and sediments. Ocean currents like El Nino's southern oscillation along the Peru-Ecuador coast in the South Pacific Ocean warms the water by 2 degrees Celsius. Every 2 to 7 years that transports nutrient important to the surface food chain. There occurs a tremendous supply of fish in the warm waters during such spells that not only supplies food for human but also attracts seagulls and other members of the food chain. The streams and rivers flowing through the mainland are the main source of fresh water for the teeming population. Most of the large populations of the world have often been established on the banks of some of the largest rivers in the world. The Indus Valley Civilization on the Indus River Basin, the Mesopotamian civilization on the banks of the Tigris-Euphrates river system, the Egyptian civilization of the banks of Nile River are some of the many examples. Water quenches the thirst. Cultivation of crop requires large amount of water. This encouraged people to settle on the river basins. Water also provides easy transportation. Groundwater dug up through wells, tube wells and artificial reservoirs are other structures providing water to the population. The cryosphere. It includes all the frozen water on the Earth's surface, which includes the glaciers, icebergs, floating ice, frozen seas, snow cover and permafrost, that is permanently frozen subsoil. It is actually a part of hydrosphere but has its own distinct properties which has recently categorized it as a separate Earth system. The Arctic and the Antarctic has vast reserves of frozen water and frozen seas. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration US, the areas of snow or ice which are subject to temperature below 32 degrees Fahrenheit for at least a part of the year compose the cryosphere. It should be noted, however, that the cryosphere is the only sphere that is discontinuous across our planet. The snow and the ice play an important role in regulating the Earth's climatic variations. Heat is reflected back to the atmosphere by the frozen ground and ice. Global changes in the climate are identified first in the poles of the Earth. The biosphere. It is the zone of all the living beings on the Earth. This includes all the vegetation, animals and human beings. The term biosphere was termed by Edward Seuss in 1875. The establishment of life on the planet has started much later after its formative stage. It has been found that perhaps the first life originated in the primitive ocean and then spread to fresh waters. Life then spread to land, where organisms quickly adapted to the natural condition and slowly flourished. Homo sapiens originated much later. Plants are the only living organisms capable of producing their own food. All the rest of the animals depend on them to get nutrients for their growth. There are herbivores that depend on these plants for their food. As we go up the food chain, there is occurrence of carnivorous animals that depend on other animals as their food. After they die, their bodies are again decomposed by the microorganisms and are given back to the soil, which is used up by the plants as nutrients for growth. Everything in this system goes along like a cycle. Aquatic habitats occur in oceans and freshwater streams and lakes. Terrestrial habitats occur on ground. Every part of the earth features a form of life. Living organisms are distributed from the poles to the deserts. Maximum and diverse population of species can be found in the tropics. From singular celled organisms to blue whales reaching to around 24 meters or more are distributed throughout the earth. Life forms live in every part of the earth, including deep underground, deepest part of the oceans, high up in the atmosphere, hot springs, and even inside another living being as a parasite. The biosphere has been divided into a number of biomes, characterized by similar flora and fauna. These are separated by latitudes. The Earth's uniqueness among all the other planets of the solar system is that it is the only planet with all the adequate conditions for life to thrive on its surface. In conclusion, we can say that the natural environment is defined as surroundings. The 5 spheres are the main Earth layers, but also there are spheres within the Earth's surface. They are continuously interacting with each other, and an effective balance between the spheres is required for isostatic equilibrium to flourish. Humans are one living organism that interacts with all forms of the ecosystems. They have the ability to bring around changes in the environment according to their needs. In this way, ultimately, an ecosystem is altered on the whole. When this altercation reaches a point of maximum change from the original situation, the system gets no time to replenish itself. With course of time, it fails as a complete system and faces abnormal consequences. Species vanish, drought and famine occur, climate changes and changing weather pattern leads to untimely rains or heat leading to floods or extreme temperature hazards. Human population, animals and plant species are affected, and if this untimely overutilization of natural resources is not controlled, this will ultimately lead to extinction of the entire civilization on the Earth's surface. The Earth system will lose its unique feature of life forever. Thank you.